Approximately 12 minutes hence, the players warm up, the fans get ready. Joe Buck and Tim McCarver warm up high above us for Cardinals and Mets Game 1. But not Game 1 of this rivalry. It started with a trade. The Cards sending first baseman Keith Hernandez to the Mets in June 1983 for relievers Neil Allen and Rick Ownby. It escalated when a St. Louis disc jockey called the Mets pond scum, and it climaxed when these teams fought a virtual 3-year war for dominance in the National League East. These franchises, these cities, do not like each other. This is mostly a World Series matchup. 1888, New York's first World Series win, Buck Ewing's Giants over the St. Louis Browns. 1926, Grover Cleveland Alexander strikes out Tony Lazzari. They made a movie about it. 1928, Lou Gehrig slams 4 homers in a sweep. 42 and 43, the Cards and Yanks trade 5-game victories. And in 1964, Bob Gibson brings down the curtain on the Yankee dynasty. But for 3 seasons in the 1980s, the Mets, led by ex-Card Keith Hernandez, and the Cards, led by ex-Met executive Whitey Herzog, were as bloodthirsty a rivalry as baseball had, and produced the National League champion each season. The 1985 Mets led St. Louis by half a game in the old NL East as late as September 13th. Then Jack Clark and the Cardinals reeled off 14 of 15 to lead by 3 on October 1st. The Mets arrived in St. Louis, won 1-0 on Darryl Strawberry's homer off Ken Daly in the 11th, then 5-2 for 20-year-old Dwight Gooden's 24th win, and suddenly they were within a game with 3 to play. But rookie Vince Coleman's 2-run single and the relief of 37-day veteran Todd Worrell led St. Louis to a 4-3 victory that virtually eliminated New York. In '86, the Mets ran away with the division. The Cards were third, 28.5 games back, in large part because the Mets beat them in each of their first 8 meetings that year. But in '87, they joined the battle anew. St. Louis led the Mets by 9.5 in July. But by September 11th, the Mets had crept to within a buck and a hay. Strawberry had hit another massive key homer. The Mets led 3-0, and Ron Darling was no-hitting the Cards, and the great arbiter in the sky thumbed the Mets out, literally. Diving for Vince Coleman's bunt in the 6th, Darling, the only Mets starter all year who had not been hurt, ripped ligaments in his pitching thumb. The no-hitter and his season were over. But the Mets still led 4-2, 2 out, 1 on. Closer Roger McDowell with 2 strikes on Terry Pendleton. A half-a-game deficit, 1 good pitch away when Pendleton unloaded a titanic game-tying homer. One of only 59 homers hit that year by Cardinals other than Jack Clark. Cards won in 10 and virtually won the division that night. With the coming of 3 divisions, the New York-St. Louis Eastern rivalry ended, but not the enmity. This year, the Mets reeled off 6 straight wins versus the Cards, but here at Busch on September 1st, Jim Edmonds homered to beat the Mets in the bottom of the 9th. Then on the 2nd, ex-Met Fernando Viñas singled to win it in the bottom of the 9th. Then on the 3rd, Edmonds hit another game-ender, and the Mets had been swept. Okay, it wasn't Babe Ruth hitting 3 homers at Sportsman's Park in Game 4 of the 26 series, but it'll do. All right, let's talk about the practicalities of that last series. The Mets had won 6 in a row. Then they come in here and lose in the last inning 3 in a row.
Yeah, all 3 of those games, and they celebrated every one of those wins like they had just won the World Series. That's a situation where the Mets sit back and look at that and they say, remember what they did the last time we came into this house? Do not let that happen again. I think good pitching always beats good hitting. I give the edge to the Mets in this series.
And we're going to go 7?
It is going to go at least 6, probably 7. It's going to be a great one.
All right, they're kicking us off the field. Apparently there's a game coming up. It will pit the 2 former Houston teammates who left for greener pastures. The lefty Mike Hampton of New York, the righty Darryl Kile of St. Louis. Cards have not seen the World Series since 1987. They and their all-red fans would like nothing better than to see it again at the Mets' expense. For Steve Lyons, I'm Keith Olbermann. We'll see you after the game. After this break, Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Bob Brenly bring you the action as we take you out to the ball game.
And welcome back to Busch Stadium for Game 1 of the 2000 National League Championship Series. The New York Mets, St. Louis Cardinals. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everyone. I'm Joe Buck, along with Tim McCarver. We will introduce to you Bob Brenly in just a moment. Game 1, let's talk about pitching. Everybody wants to talk about pitching. For the Cardinals, the choice was easy. 20-game winner, Darryl Kile. More about him in a second. But for the Mets, they had a choice. One of 2 very good left-handers. Bobby Valentine goes with Mike Hampton.
It's not a particularly big deal, Joe, but in my opinion, Al Leiter should be the pitcher in Game 1. He's had more big-game experience than any pitcher on either side. He's had more postseason experience than any pitcher on either side. But more importantly, look what he's done to left-handed hitters this year. 119 average, and the Cardinal left-handers hitting only 167 against him. And keep in mind, half of the Cardinal lineup tonight will be left-handed batters.
So it's on the record. You go with Leiter.
Yes, I would.
Well, we are very happy to have with us Bob Brenly. He is back with us for this National League Championship Series. He will be for the World Series. And an interesting perspective tonight for Bob. He'll be closer to home plate than the pitcher will during the course of the game. He's behind home plate right now. Here he is. Bob?
Thank you very much, Joe. You talked about Darryl Kile, a no-brainer to get this start for the Cardinals. Obviously, he was the ace of this staff all year long. Tony La Russa invoked memories of former Cardinal great Bob Gibson, as well as the staff ace for the Oakland A's when Tony La Russa was the manager there, Dave Stewart, as guys that could start Game 1, Game 4, and Game 7. Keep an eye on the ball game tonight. Should Kile get a comfortable lead in this ball game, Tony La Russa may go to his bullpen early to keep the pitch count down, so Kile will be coming back strong in Game 4. Back to you, Joe.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Before you take off your shirt to reveal your Chipper Jones jersey, we'll talk about hitting. We can't go through an open and not talk about hitting. Let's talk about Mark McGwire. Everybody around these parts, the question used to be, what high school did you go to? These days, it's, do you think McGwire's going to play? Keep in mind, Tony La Russa has him available at any point during the game. If it's the 3rd inning, 4th inning, 9th inning, whatever, he is there waiting for La Russa's call. You are there waiting for the start of Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Some of the faces, some of the names that'll be on stage for the next week and a half on Fox. Game 1 coming your way next.
The National League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by E-Trade. It's your money. By Energizer, long-lasting Energizer batteries, the power to keep going and going. By Office Max, you supply the ambition, we'll supply everything else. And by SAP, the best-run e-businesses run mysap.com.
Well, this crowd is ready to go, and so are the homestanding Cardinals. They're on the field. Kyle will take his warm-up tosses. Don't particularly understand that. But we all know that Kyle is one of 2 20-game winners in the National League this year. And here's the Autotrader.com starting lineup for the New York Mets. They lead it off with Timo Perez. He's in right field. Edgardo Alfonso batting second. At second, Mike Piazza hitting third. He's the catcher. Robin Ventura is at third. Then Todd Zeile, the former Cardinal, at first. Benny Agbayani, a hero of Game 3 in that division series with the Giants, is in left field, batting sixth. Then hitting seventh, the center fielder, Jay Payton. Mike Bordick is the shortstop, and Mike Hampton is pitching and batting ninth. The Cardinals defensively committed 111 errors on the season. They were 7th in the league in fielding percentage, and we highlight Polanco over at third base. He is a utility player who has become more than that down the stretch for Tony La Russa with Fernando Tatis not hitting much. Polanco has become the everyday third baseman, and a big-priced third baseman in Tatis is sitting over on the dugout bench. And there's the right-hander, 20-9 during the regular season, Darryl Kile.
Darryl Kile is happy to be back at sea level. The last 2 years, he was pitching in the mile-high city of Denver. He had 2 miserable years after an enviable record with the Houston Astros. His first year with the Cardinals, that 12-6 curveball is a real downer and works much better at sea level than it did in the mountainous Denver area. A short delivery. He hides the ball very well for a tall man. He's very compact in his delivery. And experimenting with that split finger fastball, Tony La Russa telling us that depending on how his early innings go, he'll use that splitter depending on whether the Met hitters are swinging at it or not.
A look at Tony La Russa, and a reminder that this broadcast is also available by utilizing the SAP button on your television. And here we go. Timo Perez is the leadoff hitter for the Mets. Talked to Timo while they were working out yesterday. I said, all right, what is it? Perez? He said, Perez. So we're going with Perez.
Well, Timo's mom, Maria Luisa, watching from the Bronx tonight, visiting New York City. And she saw the New York Yankees come back with 7 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning to finally score against the Seattle Mariners and even up that series.
Here we go, Game 1 of the NLCS in St. Louis. Glad you're with us. Strike one on the outside corner.
It is, by the way, Timo's mom's birthday, and he asked us to wish her a happy birthday. So happy birthday, Maria Luisa.
No balls, 1 strike, and now 0-2. Perez got the September call-up, came up and really injected a little life in this Mets lineup. Not really blessed with a lot of speed, this Mets team, and he really gives Bobby Valentine some more options. Valentine will tell you his lineup works a lot better with Timo at the top of it. With Alfonso batting second, Piazza third. That misses the inside corner. It's 1-2.
He's the best bunter on the team. I mean, anybody who can lay down a 3-2 bunt, as he did against the San Francisco Giants in Game 2 at Pac Bell.
Check to swing, and the count 2-2. You saw that little graphic. He was schooled the fundamentals of the game of baseball in the Dominican Republic in an academy funded by the Hiroshima Carp. So in an era where so many major leaguers are so short on fundamentals, Timo Perez is not in that category, and that's a rocket down the right field line into the corner. Good start for the Mets as Perez has a leadoff double. Here come the Mets, and there's Timo starting it for New York.
Happy birthday to his mom. A 2-2 fastball right there, and it was a tracer down in the right field corner. Remember, the Atlanta Braves scored 2 runs against Darryl Kile in the first inning of Game 2 of the National League Divisional Series. So the Mets are jumping on Darryl with a leadoff double.
I think it's fair to say, and I think it's becoming more and more common knowledge, that Edgardo Alfonso is the toughest out in this Mets lineup, especially down the stretch, and especially when the spotlight falls on the Mets in October. He has become a big game hitter, and he made his hits count in the division series against the Giants. During the regular season, here's what he did, leading the Mets in hits, doubles, walks, on base percentage. Plays a terrific second base. They've had him at third base. Heck, he could play short if they asked him to, and they would hit him anywhere in this lineup. Bobby Valentine has him in the number 2 spot. He's at least trying to advance Perez over to third.
He's got a natural stroke to right field to do it.
Runner at second, nobody out, and the 0-1 from Kile. Squirts away, Perez down to third. Great base running, and he's there with nobody out. You talk about the fundamentals and you talk about being on your toes. That ball hit the dirt, and Timo is ready to run.
I think Alfonso was telling Timo to hold up at second. No thought of holding up. Belly flops into third. Watch Alfonso. The ball scoots away from the catcher, Hernandez, and now he tells him to go.
Hernandez couldn't get anything on that throw, and so Perez is at third with nobody out, and the Mets have their best, and Alfonso at the plate trying to give New York a first inning lead. Infield back, 2 balls and a strike from Kile.
If you're the runner at third base, the only balls that you have to worry about on the ground, a hard hit ball to the third baseman and a hard hit ball back to the pitcher. On all other ground balls, you go home.
The 2-1. Breaking ball in the dirt, 3 balls and a strike. Final weekend of the regular season, the everyday catcher for the Cardinals. As you look at Piazza waiting on deck, Mike Matheny was opening a Christmas present, or a birthday present rather. Maybe an early Christmas present. They get a jump on things around the Matheny house.
Sure.
And he injured himself with a hunting knife. 3 balls and a strike and a shattered bat. That makes it 4, 3-2, and thankfully nobody clubbed with a business end of the bat. So a 3-2 count on Alfonso. The story's well known, but I bring it up about Matheny as he was putting his birthday present hunting knife back in its sheath. It went right through the sheath and right through his finger. And he was lost for the final weekend of the regular season, throughout the postseason. The Cardinals are concerned with how Carlos Hernandez, who was a late season addition to this team anyway, and he didn't work with these starters really hardly at all during the regular season, works with guys like Kile. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Hernandez puts down the signs, and Kile misses with ball 4. A double, a wild pitch, and now a walk. Let's go to Bob Brenly.
Joe, you mentioned the injury to Mike Matheny. Tony La Russa said he will use him as a 7th coach on the staff since he has been the regular catcher for the Cardinals all season. He sees things from the pitching staff that perhaps Carlos Hernandez would not be familiar with. Also, Mike Matheny took out the lineup card tonight for the Cardinals. The 5th consecutive game he's done so. They have yet to lose when Mike Matheny takes out the lineup card. They're not superstitious at all.
Joe, I think your point's well taken. I think that might be the reason that the Cardinals added as their 25th player today, Rick Wilkins, another catcher.
First and third, nobody out for Piazza, and he hits a ball fair past third and down toward the corner. A first inning run at least for the Mets as Perez scores. It's a double, and it's second and third, still nobody out. A double, a wild pitch, a walk, another double. And the Mets have come firing out of the gate here in St. Louis.
Mike Piazza appeared to go up and look for this curveball. Hits it between Polanca and the bag. Finds a seam down the third baseline. Perez down the right field line. Piazza down the left field line. A walk sandwiched in between. And the Mets are looking to do major damage here in the first.
All smiles down there as Ventura pops one into left field. They will test the arm of Drew. Alfonso takes off. The throw is into third. It's 2-0 Mets here in the first inning on a sac fly by Robin Ventura. The Mets during the division series didn't get much of anything out of their big 4 hitters. And when I say big 4, I'm talking about Alfonso, Piazza, Ventura, Zeal. We're hitting 2 through 5 in their lineup tonight. They've been a little bit encouraged with the way Ventura has been swinging the bat the last couple of games. And here he picks up the RBI with a sac fly the opposite way.
Robin with the big home run to put the Mets on the board in game 4, and an RBI sac fly right here. Yeah, the big 3, Ventura, Piazza, and Zeal, 6 for 42 in the LDS.
And now Zeal still only 1 out in the inning. And a strike on a fastball from Kile. Zeal up with St. Louis in '89. 1990 was his first full season. 93 his best year as a Cardinal. 17 home runs, over 100 RBIs. But he has bounced around since being traded to the Cubs. 8th different organization as the count evens at 1. Everybody talks about this home field advantage, as there will be for the Mets back at Shea, the sea of red. They are quiet. At no point in the division series against the Braves did this occur. Zeal with a count of 1 ball, 2 strikes. 12th season for Todd. They're the team: St. Louis, the Cubs, Philadelphia, Baltimore, the Dodgers, Florida, Texas, the Mets. Over 200 home runs in his career. The 1-2. On the inside corner, 2 out. And Zeal has a word or two or a look for Bruce Fremming, the home plate umpire.
Todd thought the ball was inside. Darryl Kile with a couple of doubles in this inning. And that's a good pitch right up under the arms. Arms up, 2nd out.
A high strike. And there's the look from Zeal to Fremming. Fremming in his 30th year as a major league umpire has had a few of those looks.
That's a zealous look, all right.
For hitters walking away from the plate. Runner at second, 2 out. Here's Agbayani. And ball 1. Agbayani 5 out of 15 in that division series with the Giants during the regular season at 15 home runs. Runner at second with 2 out, 2 runs home for the Mets, and that's a tester for Renteria to his left. First half inning is over, but the Mets jump on top. A leadoff double by Perez. After a wild pitch, a walk to Alfonso. The double by Piazza. The sac fly by Ventura. And it's 2-0 Mets after a half inning. A fast start for the Mets. who lost game 1 of the division series behind Hampton. He takes on this lineup brought to you by Autotrader.com. They will lead it off. The Cardinals will with Fernando Vina at second base. Edgar Renteria batting second at short. Jim Edmonds, who just carried the Cardinals during the division series, hitting third. Then Davis, Clark, Hernandez in the middle. J.D. Drew, Placido Polanco batting eighth, and Darryl Kile pitching and batting ninth. The division series game 1 lost by Hampton and the Mets out in San Francisco 5-1 to the Giants. And he prepares to work to Vina, who during the regular season hit 300 and originally was part of the Mets organization. Ball 1 from Hampton.
Mike Hampton 1-1 against the Cardinals this year. He beat the Cardinals 4-2 back on May 26th, and he lost 2-1 on September 1st.
2 balls, no strikes.
Mike with 99 walks on the year. Would love to have had better control. His first outing of the year. His worst start as far as walks were concerned. He walked 9 in 5 innings as the Mets opened against the Chicago Cubs in Japan. The staple is his fastball inside to right-handed batters, but he must come inside to left-handers in order to go away.
To the right side, Alfonso to his left. Vina's retired 4-3. Edgardo Alfonso so solid at second base. The rest of that Mets defense as they line up this way in game 1 of the NLCS. Agbayani, Payton, and Perez in the outfield. Remember, they started the regular season with Ricky Henderson, Darryl Hamilton, and Derek Bell, who was injured during the division series with a high ankle sprain. He's back home in Tampa watching. There's the infield. Ventura, Bordick, Alfonso, and Zeal. Battery of Piazza catching, and Hampton on the mound with 1 out. Ball 1 up and away to Renteria. Slap me if I say Perez again, will ya? It's the back of the head. I'll start saying Perez. 1 ball, no strikes on Renteria, who hit .278 during the 2000 regular season. Now it's 2-0 as it was with Vina.
Give you an idea about the Cardinals offense. Edgar Renteria was second in RBIs on the Cardinals with only 76. Jim Edmonds with 108 led the Redbirds.
Edmonds waits on deck. The count 2-1 on Renteria. And now 2-2. And Bruce Fleming has given all of us an early indication that he will call the high strike.
Call the high strike to Todd Zeal, and now to Edgar Renteria. Rarely see this pitch called anymore.
Up the middle, Renteria has a 1-out base hit. And the MVP chance will escape from this crowd as Jim Edmonds digs his way in. The numbers during the regular season, during the division series, staggering. 8 out of 14, 7 RBIs, 6 extra base hits, a division series record. 1 on, 1 out, first inning, 2-0 Mets, and ball 1. A gift from the Angels, I'll say. He really turned this Cardinal team into a contender when they picked him up the last week of spring training. 42 home runs, 108 RBIs, career highs across the board for Jim Edmonds. Tanking all the way, and it's 2-0, and Hampton has been 2-0 on each of the first 3 hitters. Edmonds doesn't leave much guesswork when he's taking a pitch. Stands there like the Musial statue outside Busch Stadium. 2-1.
You mentioned the Cardinal trade to get Jim Edmonds, Kent Bottenfield, and Adam Kennedy going to the Anaheim Angels. About 10 days before that, the New York Yankees said they were interested in Jim Edmonds. The Angels gave them the pick of Darren Erstad, who led the majors in hits this year with 240, or Edmonds. The Yankees would have chosen Erstad, but the Yankees didn't want to part with Ramiro Mendoza.
He was the key to it all.
Yeah, that's why the deal was squelched.
It was a lack of depth of pitching for the Yankees that kept Edmonds or Erstad out of a Yankee uniform, because they just simply couldn't afford to trade Ramiro Mendoza.
What happens? Ramiro Mendoza is operated on. He's going to miss postseason. Shoulder problem.
2-2 as Hampton hits the outside corner.
That's the Hampton slot right there. If there is any one consistent slot, both the right-handers and left-handers, it's there. Outside corner to left-handers, inside corner to right-handers.
Runner at first, one out, 2-2 pitch. First swing of the night by Edmonds. It stays 2-2. In case you're wondering, Jim Edmonds against left-handed pitching this season hit .270. This team without Mark McGwire in their lineup is at a distinct disadvantage in this series against the Mets, facing Hampton in game 1 and Leiter in game 2. There really isn't a big power threat from the right side for this Cardinal lineup without McGwire, and with Tatis, who's been ineffective over on the bench. 2-2, and Edmonds stays alive.
Fernando Tatis will probably start tomorrow night's game against Al Leiter. One thing about Jim Edmonds is he struck out 167 times. That was third in the National League, behind Preston Wilson of the Marlins, who struck out 187 times, too short of the Major League record. And then Sammy Sosa struck out 168 times. There's Fernando Tatis.
Still 2-2 on Edmonds. 2-0 Mets here in the first inning of game 1. To the right side for Alfonso. They get the lead runner. What a good play by Edgardo Alfonso. They force Renteria at second. Score at 4-6, and it's 2 out. A man on for Eric Davis.
Eddie Stanky, who used to teach baseball, manage baseball in the Cardinal chain, used to talk about a ball like this. If you're on first base, go in standing up. When you go in sliding, you actually clear the path for the second baseman. Think if Renteria had gone in standing up. It's a perfectly legal play. The ball hits him in the back, perhaps, disturbs the view of the shortstop, but by sliding, you clear the path to the shortstop, and Alfonso records the out.
Now Eric Davis. Davis, 38 years old. This season hit .390 against left-handed pitching, and there's that funky pickoff move that the Mets employ, with the first baseman off the bag and going back to the bag with a left-hander on the mound. There are the numbers during the regular season for Eric Davis, who had less and less playing time as the season wore on, with the emergence and the solid play of J.D. Drew. Good fastball from Hampton, strike one.
Tony La Russa telling us before the game that Hampton does not have a particularly good move to first base, but he's quick in delivering the ball home. So the running game, for the most part tonight, will be non-existent for the Cardinals.
Davis fouls it out of play. Yet if the Cardinals have an advantage in this series, it would be a greater deal of team speed and dealing with Mike Piazza behind the plate, who threw out only 12.7% of would-be base steals.
Only 16 of 126 caught by Mike Piazza this year.
0-2 on Davis. against Hampton. Another reason why Davis is in this lineup. And he will likely be in the lineup tomorrow night against Leiter. 8 out of 17 with 4 walks. There's Will Clark, who waits on deck. A ball and 2 strikes, and Davis floats one into center. Base hit. Edmonds over to third. It's first and third, 2 out.
Hampton trying to come inside to Eric Davis. That's the book on Eric. He's still a good low ball hitter. And for the most part, you can jam low ball hitters better than you can high ball hitters. As you can see on contact, just below the trademark, and lofts it into center field.
McGuire's replacement, Will Clark, steps in. The numbers for Will Clark during the regular season, his history in LCS play is staggering. A career .489 hitter during LCS play as he's behind on the count 0-1. The '89 NLCS MVP when Clark and the Giants beat the Cubs. 12 games, .489 average, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. Holds or shares 9 NLCS records. These two, Hampton and Clark, have never faced one another. First and third, 2 out, and a 1-1 count. Tying runs on for St. Louis here in the bottom of the first inning. Will Clark trying to put St. Louis on the board. 2-1. More than numbers for Clark. It's been his presence, his leadership role, which he grew into in a short while for Tony La Russa. Walked through the door talking, yapping on rookies, on veterans, on managers, on coaches, didn't matter. And he's up on the count here, 3 balls and a strike with Carlos Hernandez waiting on deck.
Hampton is yet to come in on Will Clark. Everything has been away. One thing about Clark, he hits the ball with authority the other way. His slots to left center field. And if you continue to pitch him one way, he'll go that way.
The 3-1. That'll load him up. 2 hits and a walk in the inning. Cardinals during the season like to jump out in front. Most runs in the first inning throughout the major leagues this season. 147 by St. Louis led baseball.
What they do against the Atlanta Braves in game 1 of the division series, they scored 6 in the first inning off Greg Maddux.
Something's got to give. Something's got to give. Fewest runs allowed in the first. The Mets number 2 on the list are the Tigers of all teams. But if St. Louis is going to score any runs here in the first inning, right now it's up to Carlos Hernandez. During the regular season at .256, and in the division series was 3 out of 11 with a home run.
And Carlos has postseason experience. The Mets have not allowed a run in the last 18 innings. They held the Giants scoreless over the last 18 innings.
Again, Hampton falls behind. Hampton right now doing his best to try to get this big St. Louis crowd into the game. So far they've been silent.
When you're wild low, you have to elevate, and Hernandez a good high ball hitter.
A ball and a strike.
Key pitch right there. Hernandez goes after ball 2, helping Hampton out with that swing.
Carlos Hernandez 5 out of 15 in his career against Hampton. St. Louis trailing 2-0 in the first inning. Bases loaded, 2 out. To the second baseman, Alfonso. The flip in the inning is over. So the Cardinals threaten. They leave the bases loaded after 1. Game 1. St. Louis 2-0 Mets. Mike Piazza, an RBI double in the first inning, much to the obvious delight of Mets bench coach John Stearns.
He's out, baby! He's out! He's out of the cage! The monster's out of the cage! The monster is out! The monster is out of the cage! Let's go! The monster's out of the cage! The monster is out of the cage! Let's go!
There's the Monsters double down the left field line.
Monster of the midway, doubling in the second run for the Mets.
There's ball 1 low and away. Here is Jay Payton, bottom third of the order for the Mets. Payton, Bordick, and Hampton. Mets got 2 in the first inning. RBI double by Piazza, sac fly by Ventura. Not much of a swing there, and a fly ball down the right field line. Vigna the best angle on it, but Clark tries for it and misses it.
Vigna did have the best angle right there. The ball did not have a lot of hang time for either to get under it. It's a much tougher play for Will Clark. Easier angle for Vigna. He would cut in the foreground of your picture. You can see once Clark turns around, he can't make that play. The only guy who can make that play is playing center field for the Cardinals. That's Jim Edmonds. He makes it routinely about once a week. Over the shoulder, over the head. Made one in the divisional series against the Braves.
Catch that one in his pocket if he wanted to. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's one for Edmonds, right on cue. 1 out. Payton's retired, and the number 8 hitter, Mike Bordick, will step to the plate. Bordick, who came to the big leagues and learned so much from the manager in the other dugout, Tony La Russa, when the 2 were in Oakland. Picked up near the trading deadline by the Mets from the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles should have just gone off and started their own team. You know what? Let's just pick up, get all the guys together, and go win the pennant somewhere. The Orioles became a year 2000 farm club for all the contenders around baseball, and Bordick, one who left the Orioles and ended up with the Mets and really solidified the shortstop position. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's almost like the Orioles should change their name to the Baltimore Contributors.
Yeah. We got Bordick here. This is going to be off the top of my head, so it's not going to be good. I'll just say that right off the bat. B.J. Surhoff down in Atlanta, and unfortunately for the Braves, he had that pulled quad and wasn't much of a factor in the division series.
You had Harold Baines and Charles Johnson with the Chicago White Sox.
Will Clark.
Yep.
Mike Timlin. 2 Cardinals. 2 balls and a strike. That's to third for Polanco. Yet as a group, the Orioles stunk. You figure it out. 2 out, nobody on, and Hampton will bat.
Easy play for Polanco. Tony telling us yesterday that of the 3 third basemen, Polanco, Tatis, and Craig Paquette, that Paquette is the best of the 3. And you're apt to see Paquette in there if the Cardinals have a lead in the 8th or 9th inning. Paquette could come in for defense.
All right, is he the best? Is this the best hitting pitcher in baseball right now?
No doubt in my mind.
There's Paquette. There's Mike Hampton, who during the regular season was 20 out of 73 with 8 RBIs and had a hit in game 1 of the division series against the Giants. Took a strike. Strike 2.
He's not only the best hitting pitcher, he's the best base runner as a pitcher. He takes out the shortstop and the second baseman on double play balls. You see, you're often used to seeing pitchers lope to first base. Not Hampton.
He grounds to Vigna. Just busting it out of the batter's box there. Boy, you nailed that one.
Woo! Usually he runs hard to first.
He'll be winded when he goes back to the mound. Take a deep breath. Bottom of the second.
The National League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Nissan, Driven, and by Avaya, communication without boundaries.
Okay. He didn't run hard to first.
All right.
But to give you an idea of his athletic ability, remember with the bases loaded, 2 outs. Watch this ground ball hit by Carlos Hernandez back through the box, and Hampton trying to make a skate save. And it's a good thing he didn't touch that ball. Otherwise, it goes into right field, and the Cardinals perhaps could have scored 2 runs. But he is a tiger on the mound and at the plate.
Here comes J.D. Drew to lead off and bat against Hampton. It was picked up by the Mets December 23rd. He came over with Derek Bell, Roger Cedeno, Octavio Dotel, and Clyde Kessel, a young left-hander, going the other way. They really rented Mike Hampton. They didn't have anything signed to secure Hampton past this season. They brought Hampton here to be the staff ace, and I still think, along the lines of what you talked about during our opening, that Al Leiter just simply won't give up that crown. And I don't think that it's clear-cut that Hampton is the #1 guy on this team. And a lot of the Mets will tell you that. Leiter will pitch game 2 tomorrow night.
And nothing against Mike Hampton, but Al Leiter has been devastating against left-handed hitters. And the Cardinals in a position, as you look at Steve Phillips, who will have the unenviable task of trying to sign Mike Hampton this year.
Some think that he'll come here to St. Louis and join his good friend Darryl Kile, who he's matched up against here tonight. The two were together in Houston. Some say Atlanta. Very few say the Mets. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Drew stays alive.
Well, don't you think, Joe, that a lot depends on how far the Mets go in postseason? I mean, if the Mets win the National League Championship Series and then do well, and Mike does well in the World Series, and even if the Mets go all the way, I think that that would do a lot in perhaps convincing Hampton to come back with the Mets. Bobby Valentine, too.
A ball and 2 strikes. The opposite way, right to Bordick. 1 away. Soft line drive, and Drew's retired. That'll bring in Polanco. You don't buy all that stuff about Hampton not being a New York kind of guy?
Not really. I think he's fit in very well there. I think he likes New York. His home's still in Houston. He's from Brooksville, Florida. I mean, you adapt. I think all that stuff's overrated, not being able to adapt to New York City.
You did well.
I guess that's why I think it's overrated.
That's right. 1 out, nobody on for Polanco. Placido hitting .316 during the regular season. And he is one of the favorites of Tony La Russa, as he was a favorite as a kid of Manny Mota. Pinch hitting artist for the Dodgers over the years, and now one of their coaches. Zeal with a backhanded stab, 2 away. It was Manny Mota who championed the cause of Polanco and put him on a select team in the Dominican out of Santo Domingo, and made arrangements for Polanco to get a scholarship at the University of Miami.
Even allowed Placido to room there at one of his homes. Manny has a home in Los Angeles and in Miami.
That tells you more about the kind of guy Polanco is instead of the player.
And Manny Mota, too.
Yeah. Mota let him have his house. That tells you something about Polanco. Here's Kile with 2 out, nobody on. Darryl, not a great hitting pitcher, as opposed to his buddy Hampton on the mound. 1 ball, 1 strike. First time a 20-game winner. Darryl Kile got it his last start out in San Diego. Had to battle to get it. A 19-game winner 3 seasons ago before 2 years in pitching purgatory in Denver. I want to go all the way. Just go purgatory. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
2-2.
You wonder if the Colorado Rockies, as you look at Nelson Doubleday, the co-owner of the New York Mets, his wife Sandra to his left, you wonder if the Colorado Rockies will ever assemble any formidable type of pitching staff because of the Mile High City.
3 balls, 2 strikes, and I'm sure everybody in that organization is enjoying our conversation, helping out their recruiting process.
Well, they've had terrific hitters. Todd Helton, one of the great hitters in the game today. A lot of runs scored at Coors Field there, but I can't think of a pitcher that's been successful in Denver yet.
A 2-out walk to Kile, and the second walk handed out by Hampton tonight. Here is the statistical backup for what we are prattling on about with regard to Darryl Kile. His ERA at Coors Field, and that includes as a visiting pitcher. He had a horrendous start out there this season in a Cardinal uniform.
It's his worst one, right, this year.
By a mile, over 6.5. Other ballparks, 3.93. You would think that somebody who relies on that big over-the-top breaking ball would be hurt by that rarefied air, the mile-high altitude in Denver. They say that it really affects the breaking ball.
I think it does.
Here's Vigna, 1 on, 2 out. Strike 1 on the outside corner. Fernando grounded out to second his first time up. Hampton given a 2-run lead in the first inning. He was anything but dominating in the first, allowing 2 hits and a walk, but he got Hernandez on a force out at second with the bases loaded. Now he's walked Kile, but run the count to 0-2 on Vigna, who has a word for Bruce Fremming on his way out of the box. 0-2.
Problem with Vigna, if you try to waste a pitch inside, he can walk right into it. He was hit 28 times this year to lead the National League.
Into left center field, slicing away from Peyton, but he's there, and the Cardinals are finished in the second. No runs, no hits, a walk, a man left after 2-0 Mets. Back after this from your local Fox station.
Well, the Mets lead at 2-0 as we head to the top of the third inning. The Mets leadoff hitter Timo Perez will lead off the top half of the third inning. Several times throughout the division series, Perez showed bunt at the plate, and a couple of opportunities he tried the slug bunt. Draw the third baseman in, slap the ball by him. You know, this guy's listed at 5'9", 170 pounds. From down here at field level, they must have taken those measurements with a brand new pair of cleats on, standing on tile somewhere.
Well, as he walks in to lead it off, Perez has doubled. Scored, as Bob Brenly told you. He'll be followed by Alfonso and Piazza. Here's a good shot of our buddy Bruce Fremming. Not only his 30th year in Major League Baseball as an umpire, but he's working his 10th League Championship Series.
Joe, you concede Polanco at third base. That's what Bob was talking about. When a guy like Perez would see the third baseman in, he slaps the ball over Polanco's head. That's one of his weapons in his arsenal.
There it is, and it's foul, and it's caught. Carlos Hernandez, 1 away. Score 1 for Brenly down on field level.
Amen, brother. That's what he was trying to do. You can see while the hands are apart, Polanco playing in, and Perez trying to punch it over his head, but gets under it, and the play made by Carlos Hernandez.
So 1 away, and here's Alfonso, who walked his first time up. The big bender in from Kile for strike 1. Postseason, a .278 hitter. Back to the screen, 0-2.
2 huge hits in the divisional series. Actually 3 huge hits in games 2, 3, and 4. The home run off Felix Rodriguez, a 2-run shot in the 9th at game 1 by the Mets, 5-4 in the 10th. That was game 2. And then the double to tie it off Rob Nen in game 3 sent it to 13.
Sidearm delivery and off the glove of Kile to the second baseman Vigna. 1-4-3, 2 out.
Then Alfonso's double to make it 4-0. As the Cardinals beat the Giants 4-0 on that brilliant one-hitter by Bobby Jones in Game 4.
I wonder how Mike Piazza will react to friends and family telling him of John Stearns and his explosion down on the dugout bench that the monster is out of the cage. He's out of the cage. An RBI double in the first inning and a ball low and away from Kile.
John thought he was safe by saying this.
He's out of the cage. The monster's out of the cage. The monster is out.
See, that's when Mike was on second base. So John probably didn't think Mike would ever hear about that. But evidently, John forgot he was wearing the mic.
And those are the sound bites we usually use. That's back up the middle. The monster's 2 for 2. Not even thinking about his time spent in the cage. I guess he's talking about the 3 for 14 start to this postseason. Let's go back to Stearns.
He's out of the cage. The monster's out of the cage. The monster is out.
He's out twice tonight. 2 for 2. Here it is, a high fastball from Darryl Kile. Look at Piazza get on top of that baby. Woo.
So Piazza's on with 2 out. 2 for 2, and the batter is Ventura, who hit a sac fly into left his first time up. Gets under this one and flies it to center for Edmonds. This game goes to the bottom of the 3rd inning. It's Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Ventura, Edmonds, Davis coming up. St. Louis trailing 2-0. Well, this big St. Louis crowd at Busch Stadium packed in, looking for a reason to make some noise. Mike Hampton back to the hill. Renteria, Edmonds, Davis coming up for the Cardinals in the 3rd inning, down 2-0. Cardinals led the National League in home attendance at over 3.3 million. Cleveland led Major League Baseball in home attendance. A lot of that still the residue of Mark McGwire and the tickets that this franchise sells prior to the season. We thought that at least the second half of the year around here, the last couple of years, at any moment you could see history. This is the way Mark McGwire prefers it, that the team around him is successful and he is a part of it. He doesn't enjoy the injury or evidently some bright lights that are causing him to squint down in the dugout. 554 career home runs. And 70 back in 1998. 1 ball, 1 strike. Renteria fights it off, pops it up. Zeal on the other end, 1 out. Well, they have club 70 here in St. Louis for McGwire's 70th home run. It didn't look like that.
No. Trying to get out of the way. Lofted toward first base. Nope, 70 did not look like that.
70 was one of those lasers that he hit over the wall and left as number 62 was directed down into that left field corner. We were right in this very spot back in 1998. Here is home run number 70.
Number 70.
That's on the outside corner to Edmonds, and the count evens at a ball and a strike. So historic 62, and then what is now the record 70 are about what, 50 feet apart?
Yep.
Where they landed down the left field line. A 1-1 to Edmonds. A strike over the outside part, and it's 1-2.
The interesting thing about the 62nd home run, breaking Roger Maris's record of 61, said back in 61, was that it was Mark's shortest home run of the year, only 341 feet.
2-2 from Hampton to Edmonds. Crowd trying to get into it. Hampton deals, and Edmonds shoots it the other way. A one-out base hit.
Well, we talked earlier in the game that Mike Hampton, in order to get left-handers out, you're going to have to come inside, because if you stay away, then the good left-handers like Edmonds and Will Clark will take you away. That's what Jim did there. Good piece of hitting. Ball right on the outside corner, and Edmonds doesn't try to pull it, but smokes it to left.
So Edmonds on, one out, 2-0 Mets here in the third inning, and the batter is Eric Davis. Check on the runner. Everybody talks about the advantage the Cardinals have on the bases with their great team speed. The advantage is that they'll be running against Mike Piazza during this season, during this series. During the season, they didn't steal many bases at all. And compared to the Mets, who were last in the National League with 66, the Cardinals stole only 87.
Which ranked them 11th in the National League. I think both teams are excellent base running teams, but neither is a particularly good base stealing team, and there's a big difference in that. Edmonds is excellent going from first to third, but had only 10 stolen bases on the year.
Runner at first, one out, and the 0-1 to Eric Davis. Instead, another check on the runner.
Well, Joe, you mentioned that Cardinals team speed. Not only will they use it to attempt a stolen base from time to time, but look for them to try to take the extra base on the Mets outfield arms. Benny Agbayani, a very average arm in left. Jay Payton with numerous injuries to his throwing arm in center field. And Timo Perez, a rookie, relatively untested. He does have a strong arm, but he has never faced this kind of pressure before.
One on, one out. Davis checked his swing. He didn't go, and the count evens at a ball and a strike.
Did Eric go too far? I don't think so.
Davis already has a single in this game. One of 3 St. Louis hits. That gets away from Piazza, and Edmonds down to second with one out.
Wild pitch. Only 2 wild pitches by Hampton this year. And this ball is a ball that Mike Piazza should handle. Even though it does hit the dirt, it rolls up the glove. Mike with those with knee problems and his more conventional, the style of blocking balls, that was not conventional right there. That ball should have been handled by Piazza.
So now a 2-1 count on Davis. 2-2.
Well, guys, it appeared that ball in the dirt for Mike Hampton went between the body and the left arm of Mike Piazza. It appeared he had his glove down to block the 5-hole very well. The ball hit off his glove and looked like it went between his arm and his body. And as you know, Tim, you're supposed to pinch those arms in close to your body, and that one got through the hole right there at the left elbow.
We're used to seeing balls perhaps go through the wickets between the legs, but rarely between the arm and the body.
Full count. Up to 57 pitches on the night for Hampton. Three balls, 2 strikes on Davis. Got him over the inside corner, 2 out.
We talked about how the Cardinals, or how the Mets will try to pitch to Eric Davis. Try to pitch him inside. This ball inside fouled away. Another one inside misses. Another one inside for the wild pitch. This one away. And away missing. Right back in there for strike 3. Since Eric Davis came into the National League, National League pitchers have tried to pitch him tight. That is not unusual for a good low ball hitter like Davis.
Now Will Clark with a runner at second, 2 out. Still 2-0 Mets. Strike one. And you're even talking about a young Eric Davis. When he pulled those hands down low in a Cincinnati Reds uniform, he was still vulnerable to that good pitch inside.
Most low ball hitters are, and the reason for that is you can jam low ball hitters better than you can high ball hitters, because low ball hitters do not have as quick a bats as high ball hitters. That's why you can get inside on a low ball hitter, and that's what Hampton did that last time at bat for Davis.
In 171 at-bats during the regular season after being traded to St. Louis by Baltimore, Will Clark hit 12 home runs. Talked about his success in years past in LCS play. He hit a home run against the Braves in the division series. And he bats with Edmonds at second, 2 out. He's ahead on the count, 2 balls and a strike. No doubt filling big shoes. With McGuire, the Cardinals were 50-34. Had an extremely dangerous lineup when everybody was healthy. After the injury, reality set in that they weren't going to have McGuire for the rest of the season, and the team started into a tailspin. But then Clark came here, picked up the spirits, helped the team play better, and now he grounds to first. Zeal corrals it, feeds Hampton, and the inning is over. A 1-out hit by Edmonds, a wild pitch, put him at second. He stayed there, and after 3, 2-0 New York. A 2-0 Mets lead. Last half inning, Jim Edmonds, a 1-out base hit the opposite way, drew this reaction from his hitting coach, Mike Easler.
That's beautiful. That is hitting. That is hitting. That's it, Jim Ed. We got to do, lefty. That's what we got to do. Come on now.
Mike Easler pleased with Edmonds going the other way on that fastball from Mike Hampton. But the Cardinals have yet to score against Mike.
Zeal leads it off, takes the breaking ball for strike one from Darryl Kile. 4th inning now and a 2-0 Mets lead. They got 2 in the first if you're just joining us. A double by Timo Perez leading off, a walk to Alfonso, Piazza an RBI double, and a sac fly by Ventura. Strike 2.
Mike Easler, by the way, last Friday had an interview with Kevin McClatchy, the owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Cam Bonifay, the general manager, about perhaps becoming the Pirates manager for the year 2001. Gene Lamont, one of 6 managers fired so far from major league teams.
A ball and 2 strikes from Kile to Zeal. Zeal so far 1 out of 15 in the postseason. Another sidearm delivery that missed. 2-2. Frank Robinson, member of 2 world championship teams with the Orioles and baseball's first African-American manager with Cleveland back in 1975. There he is on that list. Aaron Ruth, Mays, Robinson. Off the end of the bat, shallow right. Eric Davis, 1 out. Bob?
Yeah, Joe, Frank Robinson was my first manager in the major leagues with the San Francisco Giants. At the time, I was a 28-year-old rookie at the big leagues that had no idea what I was doing. Needless to say, I was not one of Frank's favorites at that particular time. As my career went on and I learned a little bit more about what was expected of a major league ball player, Frank turned out to be a tremendous manager. And I saw him before the ball game today underneath the concourse here, and he really seems to be enjoying his capacity with Major League Baseball right now.
Thank you, Bob. And it's nice that he's a part of the Major League Baseball structure and hierarchy. There's a pitch in the dirt, 1 ball, no strikes. Talk about a competitor. That was Frank Robinson, right?
Don't knock Frank Robinson down. Just makes him meaner.
Uh-oh, he's a fan of the 90s. I guess the 2000s. All right, whoever's talking to Frank Robinson on the phone, tell him we want him to smile and wave to us. 1 ball, 1 strike. Thank you. 1 out, nobody on, and strike 2 on Agbayani. Telling me still on, and we'd like him to get up, remove his jacket, and do some sort of. Thank you. It's the year 2000. If he's wearing a Crabette shirt under that jacket, I'm coming out of this booth.
As a player, he had a shirt with an S on it under his jacket.
Do you have any music for this? 3 balls, 2 strikes. That's it. Just a black turtleneck. Out of the Steinbrenner collection. October postseason sportswear by George Steinbrenner.
George Steinbrenner's got to be happy the Yankees scored 7 in the bottom of the 8th to break their drought against the Seattle Mariners. They head to Seattle after an off day tomorrow. They resume play on Friday. That series even at 1 apiece.
Clunker off the end of the bat back to Kile, and Agbayani's retired. 1-3, 2 out. Nobody on here in the 4th inning. Take a look at the St. Paul Company's trivia question. Tony La Russa has led 3 different teams to the postseason. Which manager has led the most? Any guesses, Mr. McCarver? We will include Bob Brentley in this guess-a-thon. Don't ask for help.
No, I'm not. I'm contemplating.
2 out, nobody on for Jay Payton, the 27-year-old rookie. Into right for Eric Davis. A late break on it. Diving try, and he caught it. Wow. Inning over, and for Kile, his second 1-2-3 inning of the night.
Not only a low ball hitter, but a low ball catcher, too.
Mets go in order. Hernandez, Drew, Polanco coming up for St. Louis, down by 2. A 2-0 New York lead, bottom of the 4th inning. Joe Buck and Tim McCarver with you, wearing these ribbons for autism awareness.
Nice.
And, yeah, It is nice. And well worth it. We welcome you back to our booth here in St. Louis. Game 1 of this National League Championship Series. And so far, the choice of Mike Hampton has been the right choice, although he has been anything but perfect, allowing 2 hits and a walk in the 1st inning. A walk to the pitcher Kile in the 2nd, got around that. A 1-out hit by Edmonds in the 3rd, a wild pitch, but got around that by striking out Davis and getting Will Clark in a ground ball. And now Carlos Hernandez, who had the bases loaded 2 out back in the 1st inning and tapped into a 4-6 force out, is in the hole leading off here with a 1 ball 2 strike count.
Best chance the Cardinals had to score was when Hernandez was up the first time, stranding the bases loaded in the 1st.
Two and 2. You mentioned it briefly. The Cardinals before this series activated Rick Wilkins, veteran big league catcher, really made his name with the Cubs, for protection for Carlos Hernandez, who had not taken batting practice for the last 2 days because of a bad back. Count full here, 3 balls 2 strikes. They did that because, let's say Hernandez is catching tonight, he goes down physically, he can't catch the rest of this series. You don't want to be stuck with only one healthy catcher. That's Eli Marrero, the other catcher on the bench tonight for Tony La Russa. Hernandez pops it up. A 3-2 delivery in foul territory for Zeal. 1 away. All right, before we give the answer, any guesses?
Casey Stengel.
St. Paul Company's trivia question. Tony La Russa has led 3 different teams to the postseason. Which manager has led the most? Billy Martin. 4. The Twins, the Tigers, the Yankees, and the A's. No Rangers on that list.
Twins in '69. The Tigers, I believe, in 1972. Billy Martin. Wow.
1 out, nobody on for Drew. The reason why I went through that long story about the catching situation for the Cardinals was when Bobby Valentine was told that Rick Wilkins was active for this series. He took it to to mean that McGuire in the right spot could hit for one of the catchers. And they wouldn't be shorthanded on the bench within that one game, meaning if Hernandez came up with the bases loaded 2 out later in the game, the 6th inning, let's say, Tony La Russa might opt at that moment to send McGuire to the plate. And he'd be without Hernandez, but still have 2 catchers available.
Makes sense. I think that's a rule that ought to be changed anyway. Within a series, within a division series, within a league championship series, or within a World Series, you cannot add to your roster.
2-2 on Drew.
If a player goes down, that position cannot be replaced. And I think the catching position, because it's so vulnerable to injury, the collisions, foul tips, what have you, everybody in baseball knows about that, certainly Mike Piazza, as well as anybody. If the catcher goes down, I think you ought to be able to replace him the next day. We introduced that thought to Tony La Russa yesterday at the workout of the Cardinals, and he said absolutely, without realizing that he was going to for sure add Rick Wilkins today.
Another 3-2 count. Drew waits with 1 out, nobody on, and checks his swing on ball 4. No, they say he went around. They appeal to the third base umpire, Dale Scott, and he rings up Drew, 2 out.
No argument from J.D. Drew. It's the fastball away. I don't think he went around. I think the Mets got a big break right there. What do you think, folks? Nah, no way. Nope. Not in my view.
Dale Scott says yes, and with 2 out, nobody on, it's Polanco at the plate, the number 8 hitter. He takes ball 1. Polanco grounded out to first, his first time up. Now checks on the left side of the diamond, and Bordick, the backhand and a throw, and that'll do it for St. Louis. In the 4th, we go to the 5th inning of game 1. 2-0 Mets. Mike Bordick will lead it off. He came up with the A's in 1990, played for Tony La Russa, playing against him in this series. Here are his thoughts on his former manager.
Well, I have incredible respect for him. He's obviously done great things over there this year. Probably my most favorite manager. He certainly helped me become the player that I am today, and certainly always respect him for that. And I've learned everything just about from him on the big league side of it.
Pretty high praise for the Cardinal manager.
Breaking ball in for strike 1 to Bordick, who bounced out to third his first time up. Hampton and then Perez will follow. 2-0 Mets. So far, Hampton has made those 2 first-inning runs stand up. Another one to third, a tricky hop. Polanco, 1 away.
Not only praise from Mike Bordick to Tony La Russa, but also La Russa to Bordick. And the Mets have another player that Tony La Russa loves, Joe McEwing. When he was traded to the Mets this March, Tony asked Joe after his last game to give him his spikes. And Joe McEwing's spikes are in Tony La Russa's office on a second shelf. There's Joe Mack. Huge favorite here in St. Louis.
Fan favorite. They come up with a nickname, Super Joe. Stayed with him, now in a Mets uniform, active for this series. In the hole, Renteria. Backhanded stab and throw, and safe as Clark couldn't handle it. There's Hampton hustling all the way, and he's on with 1 out.
I told you he ran hard to first, didn't I?
When he smells a hit.
Yeah. Hampton beating this throw, an infield hit. Had Will Clark made the catch, I think Hampton would have been safe anyway. Fine try by Renteria. So Hampton beating the play, and with 1 out, he will tear into the second baseman too. Even though he didn't run hard that first time, that was my point. It just takes a while, Joe.
I think they might have had him.
I think
Clark
so
comes
too.
Up with it.
Yeah. I didn't think so initially, but with that shot, it looked like he would have been out.
So as it is, 1 on, 1 out, it is a hit for Hampton. His second of this postseason, a guy who had 20 hits, which, by the way, was 1 shy of the Mets club record. Doc Gooden had 21 back in 1985 as far as total hits for a pitcher. And Hampton's on at first. Perez with a count of 0-1. A chopper off the plate. Kile, nice play, one unassisted. And Tim, with the speed of Perez, that might have been the only play the Cardinals had.
I was thinking the same thing, because if this ball eludes Darryl Kile and gets by him, you can see that last reach. If it goes to Will Clark, I don't think Clark can make the play. I think Perez beats either Clark or Kile to first base. So Darryl making the only play possible to get Perez out, and on the play Hampton moves to second.
So now a runner at second, 2 out. First base is open. And here is the question that Tony La Russa will be asking himself through this NLCS. Do the Cardinals pitch to Alfonso? Or do they test Piazza? And remember, the monster is out of the cage, according to John Stearns. Piazza waits on deck.
Now, you can't afford to pitch around Alfonso. He may end up walking him, but it won't be intentionally. You end up walking Alfonso, and Piazza catches one, you got a 5-0 lead. If Alfonso gets a hit, you're still in the ball game. You got to go right after him right here.
Ball one inside. Alfonso starting to get headlines in the New York papers, calling him the best baseball player in the city of New York.
I don't think I'd argue with that. Best all-around player.
Jeter,
great player.
Bernie,
good player.
Piazza,
great player, great hitter. Talking all around now. And nobody does as much as this guy on both sides of the ball in New York City.
1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at second, 2 out, and a 2-0 New York lead in the 5th.
And as you mentioned, with those choices, some pretty good competition too.
Sidearm delivery, 2-1. Little different look from Kile when he drops down, and something that he does with more regularity. At least he has done the last year and a half. I'm sure he tried everything out in Colorado to try to find an edge. He never had that edge with any sort of regularity. He's behind in the count to Alfonso. 2 balls and a strike. Ripped into left field. He's delivered again. Hampton will cruise around third and score, and it's 3-0 Mets in the 5th.
I mean, that to me is a no-brainer. I mean, you got to pitch to Alfonso. You don't even think about walking him. And as we talked about, if you end up walking, pitching around Alfonso, and Piazza catches one, it's a 5-run ball game. This guy can flat hit. Credit to Hampton beating out that infield single, going to second on the infield out by Perez, and scoring on the RBI single by Alfonso.
Now Piazza breaks his bat. Right side for Clark, and the half inning is over. But not before an infield hit by the pitcher Hampton, and a 2-out RBI hit by Edgardo. 3-0 Mets.
The NLCS on Fox is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher, when the moment comes, will you have what it takes to finish? Gatorade, is it in you? By the St. Paul Companies, property and liability insurance for business, without question, the St. Paul. And by MasterCard. MasterCard, proud sponsor of Major League Baseball and fan of the great American pastime.
Welcome back to St. Louis, Busch Stadium. Edgardo Alfonso, another 2-out RBI hit, as he's done in this postseason and last. A 3-0 Mets lead. Mike Hampton back to the hill. Here's the kind of night Hampton has had so far. Done a little bit of everything. pitching well, shutting out the Cardinals on 3 hits. Gets the infield hit and is on with 2 out at second. And Alfonso chases him home with the RBI base hit into left. And here is Darryl Kile, who walked his first time up, leading it off here in the 5th inning, and ball 1 from Hampton.
Every RBI delivered by Alfonso, and he's had RBIs in 4 straight games, the last 3 of the division series and the first one of the league championship series. All RBIs have been delivered with 2 outs. A home run against Felix Rodriguez in San Francisco to make it 4-1. The Mets won that game 5-4, and then the game-tying double off Rob Nin.
Kyle grounds to Ventura, 1 away.
And the 2-out double to make it 4-0 when the Mets clinched. And another 2-out RBI tonight.
Upcoming games in the championship series. The Mets and Cardinals, game 2 tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, right here on Fox. And then the Yankees in Seattle, game 3, with the series tied 1-1. It'll be Friday at 8 Eastern. That's on NBC.
Okay, if the Mets win this game tonight, it would be a huge advantage with lighter pitching tomorrow. And then the Mets going back to Shea Stadium. This is a very, very important game for the Cardinals to come back. If they lose this game tonight with lighter going tomorrow, the Mets going back to Shea, they're in trouble.
The pitching matchup for tomorrow. And that pitching matchup, not only the left side of that graphic with Leiter, but the right side with 21-year-old left-hander Rick Ankiel, considering what he did in game 1 of the division series with Atlanta. A record 5 wild pitches, 2 2/3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. The Cardinals would eventually win that game because of great work out of the St. Louis bullpen, a final of 7-5. One ball, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on. Base hit Vigna. On base for the first time tonight. It gets behind the left fielder Agbayani, and Vigna will cruise into second. Likely a hit and an error. Base hit, E7, runner at second, 1 out.
This is the first error of the Mets in the postseason. They committed none against the Giants. That ball hugging the ground, an easy play, eluding Agbayani. So Benny makes an error. And Vigna's on at second base with 1 out here in the 5th.
Strike 1 to Renteria.
Well, Tim, you mentioned that ball hugging the ground out there in left field actually made it a tougher play for Benny Agbayani. The way the outfield grass is mowed, the ball will actually snake as it rolls through the patterns out there with a lawnmower, and clearly Agbayani misplayed that ball off the little finger side of his glove.
The 0-1 to Renteria to the left of Bordick. 2 out.
Nice play by Bordick, and the reason it was a nicer play than normal is that he's got the base runner with whom to contend. Not only in fielding the ball, but in throwing the ball. Right here, Vigna going back to the bag. Now after Mike makes the play, he's got to come up and throw because Renteria runs very fast. Vigna ducking, making it a bit easier for him, clearing the path.
Now the inning in the lap of Jim Edmonds. He's bounced into a force-out single. He drove in 108 runs during the regular season. 7th in the National League with 42 home runs. Strike 1 over the outside corner.
Gives you an idea of how costly that error could have been to the Mets. Otherwise, that ball to Bordick, clearly a double play, and the Mets are out of the inning. But the error allowing Vigna to go to second, he's still there.
And it gives Edmonds a chance here in the 5th inning with St. Louis down by 3. Strike 2.
Piazza sitting away. And Hampton continues to pitch Edmonds away. Jim Singling to left field his last at bat.
Edmonds telling us before the game he wants to say hi to his 2 young daughters watching back in California. Like to put a smile on their faces and the faces of these fans here at Busch Stadium. 3-0. The Mets lead, 5th inning, game 1. Runner at second, 2 out. 1-2 on Edmonds. Every inning has been a fight and a struggle for Hampton, but so far no runs on 4 St. Louis hits. 2-2. First base open in this situation, but no thought of pitching around Edmonds with Eric Davis on deck. If he bats here in the 5th inning, he'll represent the tying run. It was 0-2. Now it's 2-2. Edmonds strikes out. Could not hold up. 3 strikeouts for Hampton in 5 innings in the books in game 1. No runs, 1 hit, an error, 1 left. The error, Hampton got around it. 6th inning now, 3-0 New York. Darryl Kile back to work. Cool night here on October the 11th, but not cold by any stretch of the imagination. The crowd not a factor to this point. The Mets took care of that in the 1st inning when they scored 2. The man at the plate, Robin Ventura, drove home the 2nd run of the 1st with a sac fly into left. 0 for 1 in this game with that RBI, and the 1-0 from Kile. 2 balls, no strikes. Ventura, then Seal, then Agbayani. Missing with ball 3, 3-0. A lot of pacing in that dugout, and some of the Cardinal relievers get up and start to at least move around and get the blood flowing. There's ball 4. A 4-pitch walk, and the 2nd walk handed out by Kile tonight. It starts the 6th inning.
Keep in mind that both bullpens were superb during divisional play. Cardinals were 2-0. They allowed only 2 earned runs in 13 2/3 innings. I think Tony La Russa is thinking about his bullpen right now for 2 reasons. Remember, he may try to bring Darryl Kile back to start game 4. That's his intention if he doesn't throw too many pitches in this game.
Runner at first, nobody out. Seal, runner goes. Hit and run was on, and it's fouled back to the backstop. What do you think so far of Darryl Kile, Bob Brenly?
Well, I'll tell you, Joe, other than the pitch to Mike Piazza in the 3rd inning when he got the fastball up and over the heart of the plate and Piazza tomahawked it in center field, to his credit, he has missed down in the strike zone, on occasion even bouncing balls in the dirt. That's definitely a good sign, even though he's trailing in the ball game 3-0.
Bob seated behind home plate watching the action tonight. No balls, 1 strike to count on Seal, who's 0 for 2. One ball, 1 strike.
Bobby Valentine hitting and running on the 1st pitch. And I think he considers this a hit and run at bat right here by Zeal with the 3-run lead. It's another way to push Ventura to 3rd in case Zeal can find a hole. He might look for Ventura to be running on this pitch. Nope.
And off the plate, down the line, foul. Strike 2. Talked about Bob Brenly and how close he is to home plate Actually closer to home plate right now than Darryl Kile is. And he's the handsome guy with a mustache and the tan suit.
He's closer to home than Darryl Kile, but farther away than he was during his playing days. Right, Robert?
Fortunately, yes.
I know the feeling.
Runner at first with nobody out. A ball and 2 strikes on Zeal. That just missed. 2-2.
You could see a flinch from Bruce Fleming. Bruce wanted to throw that right arm up, but called it a ball. Watch the right shoulder of Bruce Fleming.
Kyle wanted it, didn't get it. Now on 2-2, Zeal checked his swing. And Tony La Russa comes to the top step of the dugout.
But Tony has seen J.D. Drew called out on what did not appear that J.D. went around, and now Todd Zeal appears to have gone around, and the Cardinals did not get the call. Now Ventura will take off with the count 3-2 to Zeal.
He's at first on the move, and Zeal flies the ball into right for Eric Davis. One away here in the 6th inning. It'll bring in Agbayani, who hit the game-winning home run in the 13th inning of Game 3 of the division series over the Giants. Here are his thoughts on what it felt like to hit that home run to win Game 3.
It was like the greatest moment of my career right there. I mean, that's the best thing that ever happened to me in baseball. You know, hitting, you know, that's what you dream about. That's what it's all about, getting that big hit in the big game. And, you know, for me, it came true.
A 5-hour, 22-minute game ended with his swing against Aaron Fultz. And the Giants, a check on the runner Ventura. He's at first with 1 out now. Bobby Valentine entered the Mets organization as a minor league manager and saw Agbayani during his first spring. Agbayani was at the highest level in the minor leagues during that spring. He grounds to third. Polanco goes to second for the force out. It was that spring that Bobby Valentine realized the potential of Benny Agbayani. And he has certainly been in Agbayani's corner over the past couple of years. And along with the obvious feeling of elation with that home run, I'm sure got a special kick out of watching Benny Agbayani, a guy who Valentine has believed in over the years, end that long Game 3. He's at first with 2 out, reaching on the force out. And the batter's Peyton. Ball 1.
Benny was a terrific football player. He came to the United States, to the mainland. He's from Hawaii, obviously, from Honolulu. And he went to Oregon Tech. He was a wide receiver, but weighed only 150 pounds. After a couple of years at Oregon Tech, he decided he was too small to play football. So telling us yesterday that he had to be a professional something. So he became a professional something. And here he is in the big league uniform.
Too small to play football. And over the past couple of years, people have questioned his size, saying he's too big to hit leadoff.
Yeah. And too thick to be a successful hitter. But when the ball jumps off his bat, I mean, you know it's scorched. And Met fans happy that he was hitting the other night against Aaron Fultz to win that game in 13.
It really was undecided at the beginning of the season whether Agbayani was going to stay with the club or go back to the minor leagues. Because they had a roster exemption with their trip over to Japan playing the Cubs to start the season, Agbayani was carried on the trip. Ended up hitting a grand slam in the second game of the season for the Mets' first win of the year. He has stayed put. That's to third. The force out at second. And This game goes to the bottom of the 6th inning. It'll be Davis, Clark, Hernandez for St. Louis. 3-0 New York. Still 3-0 New York. The Cardinals have been shut out on 4 hits. Eric Davis will lead it off. Back in 1990, a member of the Reds. You see a catch from earlier in this game, reminiscent of a catch he made in Game 4. The diving catch out in left field. The ball would pop out of the glove, and Eric Davis was left with a lacerated kidney, and then literally left behind in the Bay Area after the Reds won Game 4 in that 4-game sweep over Tony La Russa's Oakland A's. Davis 1 out of 3 as he grounds to short to start the bottom of the 6th inning.
Marge Schott, the team owner, then would not pay for Eric's transportation, ambulatory transportation, back to Cincinnati from Oakland. Eric had to pay for it himself, and obviously that did not bode well for Eric nor anyone else under those circumstances.
Embarrassing.
Oh, it's terrible.
1 out, nobody on, and Clark takes a strike. Say it again. The St. Louis Cardinals taking on Hampton tonight. The prospects of having to face Leiter tomorrow night with all of that postseason experience, 14 games worth. Taking on the rookie and Kile as Clark hits one down the right field line. Buzz into the corner fair, and Clark will cruise into second with a 1-out double. The Cardinals need to get something going here tonight against Hampton, with that matchup looming for tomorrow night.
So far, Joe, the Cardinals have been like the football team that can run it from the 20 to the 20. They can't punch it in. Will Clark with a 1-out double. Cardinals trying to get in the red zone, literally the red zone in this ballpark.
So Clark at second, 1 out. Here's Carlos Hernandez, and there's ball 1. The Cardinals tonight 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position with 2 strikeouts.
You know, the one guy that the Cardinals have looming in their dugout, once again, Mark McGuire.
To the right side for Alfonso. 2 out. And Clark over to third. So Carlos Hernandez is 0 for 3, and he has stranded 4 runners on. Is retired, and it's up to the left-handed hitting J.D. Drew.
And don't think that Bobby Valentine, now obviously he's not unaware of it. When we went in to meet with Valentine tonight before the game, after meeting with La Russa, Bobby said, "Did he tell you when he was going to use the big guy?" We said nope, because he didn't.
On top of that, how unethical would that be of us to go talk to one manager and then go turn around and tell the other manager everything the guy said?
Yeah, well, obviously we wouldn't have done that. Tony wouldn't have told us anyway. But I think it was more of a rhetorical question.
To the shortstop, Bordick. Drew grounds out, and the Cardinals strand another. They have stranded 7. We're through 6, 3-0 Mets. Back after this from your local Fox station. Well, folks, watch Game 4 of the World Series right here on Fox for the $1 million Gillette Strike Zone Challenge. This is Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, and the Mets behind Mike Hampton lead St. Louis 3-0. Hits are even at 5 apiece. That big breaking ball is in for strike 1 to Bordick. We started to talk about these two managers, Bobby Valentine, Tony La Russa. Former foes in the American League, now butting heads in the National League. Widely known by now with all the articles that come out that Bobby Valentine managed his first game against Tony La Russa. Valentine's first year in 1985. Bordick fouls it off. Still 0-2. Two managers who are in that category of The thinking man's manager, the guys who get into the strategy, not that others don't, but guys who let you know that they are in the ballpark and in the dugout. Carlos Hernandez takes care of Portick. 1 out here in the 7th inning, and here are Bobby Valentine's thoughts on Tony La Russa.
His imprints on every game that he manages. Of all the guys that I manage against, I've managed against Tony the most, so I'm most comfortable, I think, with what he does. I know what he's going to do, even though he's unpredictable. I respect what he does. I think he's really as good at what he does as anybody in baseball.
Bobby Valentine, known as a manager who will get into the gamesmanship of managing. Sometimes will be quite evident out on the top step of the dugout. Had that nickname, top step, letting you know that he's in the ballpark. And Tony La Russa, as Hampton chops one off the plate. Kile, good play, 2 out. Tony La Russa, Tim, was made famous, if he wasn't before the book came out, by George Will's book, Men at Work, has a law degree. And when he got that tab of genius from that book, I said it before in one of our games, if you want to end a conversation with Tony La Russa, bring up George Will's book and that genius tab that was hung on him, because it's something that has really stayed with him since then. It's something that he doesn't particularly enjoy.
That work ethic of Tony started down in Ybor City, Florida, under the tutelage of his dad. His dad, Al Lopez, a great White Sox manager, very close friends. Tony, when he was just a wee tot, 8 or 9 years old, used to watch his dad and Al Lopez play checkers down at the Spanish Community Center in Ybor City. Tony, a very proud man, and not too many guys put the time in to their business and to their job any more diligently than that man right there.
Ball outside from Kile. Timo Perez is at the plate with 2 out, nobody on. Now 2-0. Perez got it started right for the Mets with a double into the right field corner in the first. A wild pitch moved him over to third, then a walk to Alfonso, an RBI double by Piazza, and a sac fly by Ventura made it 2-0. It's now 3-0 after the 2-out RBI single by Alfonso back in the 5th. Two and one. To the shortstop, Renteria takes care of Timo and the Mets in the 7th. Time for this big crowd to stretch. Bottom 2 in the order coming up for St. Louis. They trail by 3.
Shack. The National League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb, Hope, Triumph, and the Miracle of Medicine, and by Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
Well, celebrating 50 years of doing business worldwide, Sanyo is proud to bring you these spectacular live shots from the Sanyo Lightship. Beautiful night in downtown St. Louis. Osborne Earl Smith, surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. Watching as the Cardinals bat, bottom of the 7th, down 3-0, and Hampton delivers strike 1 to Polanco. With Kile, the next scheduled hitter, Cardinals will obviously lift him for a pinch hitter, and then Vina. A ball and a strike. James getting loose for the Cardinals out in their bullpen. Up the middle, Polanco starts in with a base hit.
He hit that ball off the ground, didn't he? That ball was about 3 inches off the ground. Had he not made contact, It probably bounces before it gets to Piazza. Okay, 10 inches above the ground. Would you believe?
With Don Adams alongside and Bob Brenly down on the field. It's McGuire in the dugout and Tatis at the plate batting for Kile.
If it's a 2-run game, Mark McGuire might be in the game right now. But since the Mets are ahead by 3, it keeps Big Mac on the bench.
Tatis for the season hit 18 home runs, drove in 64. Down the stretch, Tony La Russa believes that Tatis had it in his mind that he was going to try to hit 20 home runs. And all he would do is that, take big swings, come up empty, and the count's even here at a ball and a strike.
Tatis 6 for his last 46 over the last week and a half of the season. And he missed that ball by a good margin.
5 out of 12 in his career against Hampton. Same pitch, same result, strike 2.
As long as you're going to swing like that, there's no way Hampton's going to come inside. Carbon copy of the pitch before. And as you said, Joe, you can see by that Tatis is trying to jerk the ball instead of going with it. Got to adjust your thinking right now. Andy Bennis perhaps will be the starter in Game 3 at Shea Stadium.
A little more outside. It's 2-2.
A lot of guys think you should choke up in a situation like this. I think your thinking is the most important. Being on deck, just think outside. Joe Torre used to have a comment, with 2 strikes, never let a pitcher surprise you away.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Tatis. Just stayed away, and Tatis is gone. Strikeout number 4 for Hampton, and a big one.
Well, as we said, Hampton is too smart, and so is Piazza. And if a right-handed batter is going to come up there and look for a ball to jerk, they're simply not going to give him one. Away, away, away. I'm reminded of Bob Brenly's comment a couple of years ago. Just like Dixie. Look away. Tatis didn't.
He's gone, 1 out. And Vina will be the hitter. 1 out of 3. Going away for ball 1. In case you're just joining us, you've missed Tim talking about his foreign policy. I went over my economic plan. And then here in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, the Mets got 2 runs in the first inning. They got a run in the 5th inning. They lead 3-0 behind solid, if not spectacular, pitching by Mike Hampton. First inning RBIs by Piazza, who's 2 out of 3 tonight. A sac fly by Ventura, who the Mets hope will come around at the plate. And then who else? A 2-out RBI single by Alfonso in the 5th inning. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Bob Brenly with you. The Cardinals have been shut out on 6 hits. A check on Polanco over at first. Was bothered, just so you know it, by a strained right hamstring.
And that's why Tony La Russa said it is unlikely Polanco will be running tonight. Base to base.
Another check on Polanco. The in-game box score. We came in, and all of baseball came into this game talking about the matchup of Hampton, a left-hander, against the left-handed heavy lineup. Well, look at it. Vina, lefty, 1 out of 3. Edmonds has a hit. Will Clark has a double. Drew, the only lefty in this lineup, who's been held hitless. But still, it's 3-0 Mets, 7th inning. And that's closer. It trickles away, but not far enough.
That was a balk right there. Mike Hampton got away with it. He didn't step toward first. A pitcher cannot deliberately. You can see he didn't step toward first base. That's a balk that Hampton got away with. Todd Zeal loses the ball. Yeah, you got to step toward first base. Not even close right there.
Now the 2-0 to Vina. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, we mentioned earlier Mike Hampton does not have a great pickoff move at first base, and he uses the slide step with the runner on that may steal. That time he tried to bait Polanco into taking too big of a leadoff by going with a slide step move to first base.
Hampton behind on the count to the man at the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Now 3-1 as that misses high. Getting into the heart of the St. Louis lineup, so unlikely that McGuire would step to the plate here in the 7th inning. 3 balls and 1 strike. Now a full count on Vina, who looked like he was willing to take that 3-1 pitch. Renteria next. Getting loose.
Even though the Cardinals trail by 3, I would imagine Polanco will be off here. Got to make sure Hampton pitches.
He doesn't. Pitch, that is, and the throw over to first.
Yeah, 3-2 pitch is similar to a hit-and-run play. The runner at first base has to make sure he is not dependent on the jump like he would if he was stealing a base. It's up to the hitter to put the ball in play.
Another check. Polanco, a little bit of a delay before diving back in.
That's another move to first base that could have been translated as a balk by Hampton. You can see Todd Zeal trying to nudge that right hand off of Polanco.
Three-2 to Vina. The tying run will come to the plate here in the 7th inning. A right-hander Wendell, a lefty Cook, ready in the Mets bullpen. Steve Lyons talked about it during the pregame. Tony La Russa staggering his lineup. Lefty, righty, all the way through. Here comes Dave Wallace, the pitching coach. You talked about that pickoff move over at first. Here's hitting coach for the Cardinals, Mike Easler.
I don't understand the move to first. I don't understand. Look how he's dragging his foot. And just, you know what I mean? Just kind of keeping it low. He does what he wants to do.
Precisely what you're talking about.
Yep.
A balk move over to first.
Yep. Both moves, that slide step toward first base that Bob was talking about. Both of those, in my view, were balks. Mike got away with it. Edgar Renteria, on the other hand, is no stranger to these situations. He won the 1997 World Series with a hit back through the middle for the Florida Marlins in 1997 against Cleveland, and Cleveland fans remember it well.
Talking about staggering the lineup, a right-hander up now, but the lefty Edmonds on deck. One of the reasons why Hampton's staying in there. Renteria hits it well into right. Perez back. 2 out. Tagging going to third is Polanco, not running well at all, and it's first and third, 2 away.
Game-winning hit, World Series winning hit by Renteria as the Marlins won 3-2. The starting pitcher in that game for the Florida Marlins, by the way, Al Leiter.
Renteria, even with that experience and that World Series action in '97, just turned 25 years old. Here's Edmonds, first and third, 2 out. Tying run at the plate for St. Louis. Edmonds 1 out of 3 tonight. Into left center field, well hit. Back is Agbayani at the wall to make the catch. Edmonds came close. Fell about 10 feet short. Frustration on the part of Edmonds and the Cardinals. They've left 9 and trail by 3. Well, the Cardinals keep Tatis in the lineup. He stays in to play third base and will bat in that number 9 spot. Polanco is taken out of the game, and the Cardinals have a new pitcher, Mike James. Well, the debate is over, the second presidential debate, and we flash back. Bobby Valentine, the Rangers manager, 1985 to 1992.
He's a good manager. He's done a lot for this community. But having said that, we were concerned about this pennant race, the 1992 pennant race, getting away from us. And so we decided to make this change in the hopes that the Texas Rangers will be a contender come September.
We understand in the whole process of equal time, we tried to find Al Gore firing a major league manager, but just couldn't come up with that tape. So Bobby Valentine, hired May 16th, 1985 by the Rangers and fired. By the managing general partner, George Bush, in July of '92.
That's kind of a badge of honor to be fired by a presidential candidate.
I think so. I'm sure it's on the resume.
I guarantee you.
George Bush also kids about being the man in charge and signing off on the trade of Sammy Sosa. As Alfonso is in the hole now, 1-2 facing James. A trade of Sosa from Texas to the White Sox.
If he does, if he is voted president in less than a month from now, let's hope he doesn't conduct his foreign policy in that same vein.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Alfonso lines one into right. Eric Davis to his right, 1 away, and let's go down to Keith Olbermann. Keith.
Joe, the videotape of Bobby Valentine's demise in Texas attracted the attention here in the Met dugout of Bobby Valentine, who came over and asked how
down by the dugout, and evidently
how George Bush did in the
audio difficulty. We'll do it in just a moment, and with 1 out, nobody on. Here is Piazza, 2 out of 3, and a strike from James. Mike James, the first out of the bullpen for Tony La Russa in this NLCS. Former setup man for the Angels, setup man for Troy Percival misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. Injured, sat out last year. Walt Jocketty, the general manager of the Cardinals, brought him into town, signed him to a contract. Mike hasn't cut his hair since that day, evidently. And Piazza needs a new bat after that swing. And it's 1-2.
That's a real broken bat right there when Cookie Rojas can attempt to field a Mike Piazza ground ball only 94 feet from home plate. Normally, you don't even try to do that.
Especially a guy with good hands, long-time major league infielder.
5 straight All-Star teams when he was with the Kansas City Royals. After coming to the Cardinals in 1970, in the 1969, in the trade that Curt Flood ultimately went to the Supreme Court on 2 years later.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
That trade was Cookie Rojas, Richie Allen, and Jerry Johnson for Curt Flood, Byron Brown, Joe Horner, and me.
And you.
And me.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Piazza. His first RBI of this postseason back in the first inning with a double. Just jammed a bit. J.D. Drew waits for it. 2 out. Well, evidently the whole world heard Keith Olbermann, except for Joe and Tim. So here's Keith again. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Joe. So this is just for you and Tim and Bob. And of course, we had technical difficulties because I was talking about politics. That's an inside joke. But when you showed that clip of Bobby Valentine and George W. Bush from 1992, it attracted the attention of Bobby Valentine, who came over and asked how his former employer did in the debates. And I didn't have a real answer for him because that's why I left political reporting and I'm down here in the dugout. Joe?
Thank you, Keith. A strike over the outside corner to Ventura. Good to know that Bobby's watching our program. He's been known to do that in years past.
Oh, yeah.
Ground ball to Clark to put out at first. Score at 3-1 on your NLCS Game 1 home scoring sheet. Bottom of the 8th inning. Cardinals bat down by 3.
The National League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Chrysler. We're reinventing the passion for driving. By Merrill Lynch. Be smart. Be confident. Be bullish. By Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And by IBM. Taking e-business and your business to the next level.
Sanyo and the crew of the Sanyo Lightship are proud to be a part of Fox's Major League Baseball coverage of the National League Championship Series. Thanks to Sanyo for joining us here tonight. Pitching change. Mike Hampton is finished. He went 7. Did everything he could. No runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, a wild pitch. And it gives way to John Franco.
Oh, what a job by Mike Hampton as Franco enters the game to perhaps set it up for Armando Benitez. That's what Bobby Valentine told us before the game. But think about the job Hampton did. St. Louis Cardinals scored 24 runs against the Atlanta Braves and their vaunted pitching staff in 3 games. Maddox, Glavine, and Millwood. And Hampton comes in the Cardinals' own backyard and shuts them down for 7 innings. Great job.
Mets pitching is not allowed to run in the last 25 innings. A great relief work in Game 3, and then arguably the best postseason start in Mets history by Bobby Jones in Game 4. 2 balls, no strikes. Now 2-1. That start rivaling John Matlack's start in the LCS back in '73, a 5-0 win over Cincinnati. 2 balls and a strike on Davis. Clark next, and then Carlos Hernandez, the scheduled hitter. 2-2.
What you just saw was the odd way that John Franco holds his changeup. The ring finger and the middle finger draped over the ball. Right there. Some pitchers referred to it as a circle change, but you can see the pinky of John Franco. It's guided by it's such an odd pitch, and one of the reasons it makes it so effective, it's guided by the middle finger and the ring finger.
He grew up in Brooklyn. He deals on 2-2, and he got Davis over the inside corner, 1 away. Second time tonight, Davis has been caught looking on an inside delivery from a left-hander, and he says a few things to Fremming on his way back to the dugout.
All right, looking away, and when you're looking away, you have a tendency to back away from that inside fastball. You don't get a good look at it.
The season series between the Mets and the Cardinals were all 3-game sweeps. The First two by the Mets over the Cardinals, then September 1, 2, and 3 by the Cardinals over New York. John Franco was not a part of that last series with a muscle pull in his side. As you look at McGuire getting ready down the steps in the dugout. But by not having Franco in what was a real tight series with the Cardinals, all 3 games won in dramatic fashion in their final at-bats, the Mets were without one of the best left-handers to come out of any bullpen, at least in the late innings, ever. This guy's the all-time save leader among left-handers. The 1-1. Strike 2.
420 saves, second only to Lee Smith. Well, that was a dramatic series. Cardinals winning every game, and their last at bat, 2 walk-off home runs by Jim Edmonds. I think you can look for McGuire if the Cardinals get 2 on.
Clark lines one to center for Payton, and the first 2 Cardinals are gone here in the 8th inning. Division series, game 2, Bonds up. He was the winning run at the plate, tying run on in the 10th inning, and Franco struck him out on a 3-2 changeup to end the game. And then in game 3, he took care of Bonds again. And now he should have plenty of work in this series against this left-handed heavy lineup for the Cardinals. Ball 1 to Carlos Hernandez. Look for Eli Marrero to be behind the plate tomorrow night with Kile pitching. Hernandez on with a 2-out single. 1 out of 4 tonight.
Cardinals keep this inning alive. Sean Dunston is coming out to bat for J.D. Drew. If Dunston gets on, look for McGuire, because Mike James is in the 8 hole, and that's an easy call. Regardless of who the Mets send out of the bullpen, McGuire will be up, and this place will go bananas. That's why Benitez is warming right now to face Mark McGuire, not Sean Dunston.
But if you're the Mets, because of what you just said, with the pitcher due to hit after Dunston, you want to squeeze off this rally, if you can categorize this as a rally, a 2-out single to this point, right here.
Absolutely.
Leave McGuire in the dugout. If McGuire bats here in the 8th inning, after Dunston, he will represent the tying run.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the Mets' strategy. Score so many runs that if McGuire bats, it won't matter. Very simple. But if Dunston gets on, it will matter.
Eli Marrero pinch running at first base for Carlos Hernandez. McGuire will pop into the on-deck circle. At some point, as Dunston stands in with 1 on, 2 out. Brooklyn against Brooklyn. Franco against Dunston, who is 3 out of 33 as a pinch hitter this season. Strike 1. By the way, McGuire has a flair for the dramatic. And while everybody in both dugouts knows that he's going to be the hitter after Dunston, he'll just wait in the dugout, and they put James in the on-deck circle with absolutely no chance of coming to the plate. Bobby Valentine knows that better than anybody. It's up to Franco to keep the man on the right of your screen out of the batter's box here in the 8th. 1 ball, 1 strike on Dunston.
In the borough of Queens in New York, the New York area, how many Mets fans do you think are pacing in front of their television sets? Quite a few, I would imagine.
And then there's him with Tim Tuffle's old jersey on in the far reaches of Busch Stadium. 1 ball, 1 strike on Dunston. That's foul for strike 2. The Mets have a guy over at third base who handles that particular play about as well as anybody. I know on your list, Brocious is at the top, but if he's 1, Ventura's 1A.
Scott Brocious is the best barehanded pickup third baseman I've ever seen. And Ventura's a close second. One and 2 on Dunston. 2-2. Franco trying to protect a 3-0 8th inning game 1 lead for the Mets. Left on Bayani there, and Franco does the job in the 8th. Game 1 goes to the 9th inning, and the Mets hanging on to their 3-0 lead. Franco trying to protect a 3-0 8th inning game 1 lead for the Mets. Left on Bayani there, and Franco does the job in the 8th. Game 1 goes to the 9th inning, and the Mets hanging on to their 3-0 lead. This is why it, for the most part, is predetermined who we are going to root for as adults. That young lady had very little choice, if any. With her McGuire jersey on, McGuire was left in the dugout. Take a look at the SAP game summary. Mike Piazza an RBI double in the 1st inning. It was followed by a sac fly by Ventura, 2-0 lead until Edgardo Alfonso drove home a run with a single in the 5th inning, making it 3-0. And with runners in scoring position, as Tim clears his telestrator so I can read it, the Mets are 2 out of 4 and the Cardinals 0 for 9. Hampton did the work through the first 7. Franco got through the 8th inning, and now, according to Bobby Valentine, the 9th inning, if it stays as is, will belong to Armando Benitez. Here's Sean Dunston staying in the game in left field. Eli Morero stays in the game, does the catching, and will likely start tomorrow night and catch Rick Ankiel. And that game will come your way at 8 Eastern here on Fox. Game 2, Leiter and Ankiel. And then game 3 on Friday night, 8 Eastern on NBC, with a series tied at a game apiece. The Yankees at the Mariners. Here's Seal as James goes back to work.
Strike one over the inside corner.
Joe, sometimes the tone of the game is set early. The Mets bouncing on top of the Cardinals before they could catch their breath with 2 runs in the top of the first, and then the Cardinals unable to deliver that 2-out RBI with runners in scoring position when Carlos Hernandez grounded out, failing to take advantage of their chance.
They're the 2 runs in the first inning. So far, all they need to this point. They lead 3-0 ninth inning. Zeal, Agbayani, and Payton will bat against James. Strike 2. The Mets have watched Todd Zeal go 1 for 17 at the beginning of this postseason. They moved him around in their lineup. They had him batting out of the number 7 spot. Bobby Valentine putting him back up in the number 5 position, and he's 0 for 3 so far. Gets into that ball into left center field, might lead. Dunston at the wall, leaps, and it's gone. Home run, Zeal. It's 4-0 Mets. With Hampton admiring that blast by Zeal. The guy who cut his teeth in the Cardinal organization just sinks his teeth into the Cardinal organization with a 9th inning leadoff home run.
That ball down and in, the most dangerous area right there for a right-hander or a left-handed hitter. John Dunston, watch the jump. Just eluding the glove as the Mets get their 4th run.
Breaking ball misses to Agbayani. Benny 0 for 3 in this game. The bottom part of the order from 5 down prior to that home run had been held hitless with the exception of an infield hit by Hampton back in the 5th. 2 balls, no strikes on Agbayani. You hear teams always talk about in these playoff series going into another team's home ballpark and coming out with a split in the first 2 games. The Mets tonight may assure themselves of at least that, with a chance tomorrow night behind Leiter. Will be stepping on the mound for the 15th time in his career during the postseason, taking on a 21-year-old left-hander Rick Kile in game 2. 3 balls and a strike on Agbayani.
We mentioned earlier that Al Leiter had worked game 7 of the 1997 World Series. The Marlins won that. He also worked the 163rd game of the season last year at Cincinnati when the Mets had to travel to face Jack McKeon's group. Mets won that game behind Leiter. He has pitched in one big game after another. 3 World Series rings to his credit.
He also broke an 8-game losing streak last year, beating Roger Clemens at Yankee Stadium for the Mets, which really started their turnaround and their push toward the wild card. That's through the left side. Agbayani has his first hit. A homer, a base hit. We go back to the home run by Zeal and hear from Bob Brenly.
Well, as we all know, Todd Zeal, a middle-in fastball hitter, takes the fastball down the heart of the plate for strike 1. They push him off the plate. That's the pitch that set up the next one. He tried to come inside with the fastball off the plate as he did on the second pitch. He left it out over the plate way too much. Todd Zeal is constantly looking for the fastball from the middle of the plate in. Sean Dunston clearly got too close to the fence right there. Looked like the ball actually tipped his glove as it went on over.
Well, a nice hand for Joe McEwing, who's on the bases, pinch running for Agbayani. Still nobody out here in the top of the 9th inning. A 4-0 Mets lead. The batter's Jay Payton. And that's well hit down the left field line. That's got a chance into the corner and gone. Jay Payton, 2-run shot, 6-0 New York. Well, the other team from New York, the Yankees, had a 7-run 8th-inning explosion in Game 2 earlier today at Yankee Stadium, and here in Game 1, the Mets have broken it open here in the top of the 9th inning.
There is no pitch from any pitcher that screams to hit me like a flat slider. Watch this slider just flatten out. It's almost like it's on a tee. And Jay Payton, with 17 home runs during the regular season, gets his first in postseason play.
Still nobody out. And a big rip by Bordick, who was up there ready for that pitch. Strike one. Although it's too late to add votes for Jay Payton. The last 4 LCS games, the Cardinals have been pounded on, and that takes into account that 1996 LCS when they were up 3-1 and lost 3 in a row to the Atlanta Braves. Pile these 6 runs on top of it. Under Tony La Russa, it's been ugly. The last 4 NLCS games. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bordick waits. And that hit Bordick on the hand. Bordick in some pain as he gets attention from the Mets trainer, and that caught him on the right hand or right wrist.
That's Fred Hina, the Mets trainer, and that could add something to this series that prior to this wasn't there. This appeared to be intentional from Mike James. An inside fastball meant to brush Bordick back off the plate. Bob, it looked like it hit Bordick on the right hand, on the fingers of the right hand. Is that right?
That's certainly what it looked like from down here, Timmy. And as you well know, when you've got your hand wrapped around that bat, there is absolutely no give when that ball strikes you in the hand or in the fingers. Bordick just tried to kind of limbo underneath that fastball up and in. Certainly appeared to be a pitch with some intent on it for Mike James.
Let's listen to it.
Ouch. It's that ugly thud of pressing the finger against the bat. And the Mets obviously are hoping that Mike Bordick is all right, because if he isn't, there could be no replacement. And that would obviously hurt New York.
So Bordick with a glance over at that Cardinal dugout. We already detailed the relationship between Tony La Russa and Mike Bordick. If indeed that was the case, a message was sent by James. Bordick was on the bad end of it.
Keith Olbermann in the Met dugout as trainer Fred Hina walked Mike Bordick off after he was hit by that pitch before the break. He reassured both me and the Mets around that Bordick was okay. It was the right thumb. He's all right. Obviously, that's the trainer's guess, but it does not appear to be serious. They obviously will check further. Joe?
All right, Keith, thanks. Here's Bubba Trammell at the plate. Bobby Valentine sending in Trammell to hit for Franco. And Christensen, Jason Christensen, who the Cardinals picked up from the Pirates at the trading deadline, blows a fastball by him for strike one. Most of the numbers compiled by Christensen with Pittsburgh. Kurt Abbott is the pinch runner for Bordick, who was hit by the pitch. 0-2 on Trammell.
I think what makes, as you look at Armando Benitez, what makes Bordick's being hit by that pitch so troublesome is that it was on the throwing hand, and gripping the ball for throwing could be a problem tomorrow.
ball and 2 strikes. We'll have some interviews after the game, and then coming up after the game, the late local news, except on the West Coast. Perez waiting on deck. 1 on, nobody out. Long top of the 9th inning for the Mets, and they lead by 6. Trammell is gone, 1 away.
Good fastball right here from the ex-Pirate, Jason Christensen, as Bubba Trammell goes down. Gene Michael, probably the most respected scout in the Yankee organization, there with the glasses on.
1 on, 1 out for Perez, who is 1 out of 4. Strike 1. Timo back in the first inning, doubled into the right field corner, moved to third on a wild pitch, and scored easily on an RBI double by Piazza. Christensen, who the Cardinals picked up to try to shore up a real weakness in their bullpen this season, gets out in front, 0-2. Again, another look at the pitching matchup tomorrow night for Game 2. Al Leiter, who pitched Game 2, 8 innings, only 2 earned runs in that division series out in San Francisco. Game the Mets 1 in 10 innings. Will take on Rick Ankiel, who had a disastrous Game 1 with 5 wild pitches and lasted less than 3 innings, allowing 4 earned runs. One on, 1 out, the 0-2 pitch. 1-2.
In the opening, I said that I thought Al Leiter should have started tonight. With that in mind, with the excellent job that Mike Hampton did, Al obviously not starting, but starting tomorrow night, I think this gives the Mets a huge advantage, perhaps going into Shea Stadium.
Off Christensen's glove to the shortstop Renteria. Everybody stretching all over the place, and the double play. 1-6-3 to send this game into the bottom of the 9th inning. 2 home runs in the inning. The ex-Cardinals seal. And the 27-year-old rookie Peyton, after 8.5, 6-0 Mets. Well, in the category of, in case you're wondering, the Cardinals, the most runs scored in an inning this season, 8, May 9th against the Giants. They trail by 6 going into the bottom of the 9th inning. And they will deal with Armando Benitez, 3rd pitcher of the night. Can't do any better than Hampton and Franco, and those 2 have shut out the Cardinals on 7 hits. LCS fact, team winning Game 1 has won 40 of the 60 series. In the National League, Game 1 winner has won the last 7 series. Langford will lead it off and bat for Christensen. Joe McEwing stays in the game. He's now in left field as Langford takes ball 1.
Not to belabor that, Joe, but that is particularly salient since the Mets are beating the Cardinals here in St. Louis with this great crowd. The way the Cardinals just pummeled the Atlanta Braves, scoring 24 runs in 3 games, and none here tonight.
Langford rips one into right field. That ball will go all the way to the wall, and Ray Langford with a pinch hit double. Armando Benitez in his history has been anything but a sure bet in the postseason.
And in some respects, it's easier to hit when you're trailing by 6 runs in the 9th inning. The reason for that is the pitch that you get, and most of the pitches you get are predictable pitches. Langford got a fastball and hammered it to right.
Tatis takes ball 1 up and in. In this postseason alone, As you look at his career numbers in the postseason, 7 home runs in only 22 games. One of the 7, the game-tying home run by J.T. Snow in Game 2 in San Francisco, the 3-run shot. 2-0.
Tatis should take here. Cardinals trailing by 6. Give Benitez a chance to get wild.
Two and one. Guys who played in your era say that's one of the most frustrating aspects to today's game. Down by 6, swinging at 2-0 pitch.
That makes no sense whatsoever. And it's hard to convince today's players that it does make sense.
Now 2-2.
Trailing by 6, Benitez throws the first 2 pitches for balls. And here you are leaving your feet trying to hit a 2-run home run. And again, that's what Tony La Russa was saying earlier. One of the reasons he didn't start tonight. That's the approach he's been taking.
He struck out once already back in the 7th inning. The count remains 2-2. Count. Bobby Valentine turning to his closer in a 6-0 game to get him some work. He's given up a double. Now Tatis gets under one and flies it to left for McEwing. 1 out. Langford draws a throw, and he's back to second. Now back to the top of the order, and Fernando Vina.
Vina has not attempted to bunt tonight. This would be a good time to do it since the Cardinals need base runners. Vina, as much as any left-handed hitter in the National League, prefers the bunt to the right side of the infield. That area there tries to find the seam between the pitcher and first baseman.
Ball 1 from Benitez. Vina, who won a game earlier this season, a 9th inning hit Saturday, September 2nd against Benitez. Little squibber down the third baseline is up on the count here, 2-0.
You'll see him take not only 1-0, but almost assuredly this 2-0 pitch.
Six to nothing Mets here in the 9th inning. Hits are even at 8 apiece. He's taking a strike. It's 2-1. This game 1 may come and go with Mark McGwire planted over in the dugout. Best of 7 series for the Cardinals since World War II. 9 of the 10 series have gone 7 games. 2-2 on Vina. That includes that LCS meltdown by Tony La Russa's group back in 1996.
Also includes the first year after the war, the 7 games against the Boston Red Sox. Enos Slaughter scoring the winning run in Game 7 on the double by Harry Walker.
Vina hits the ball into right. Perez coming to get it. 2 out. Langford stays put. And the Cardinals are down to their final out here in the 9th inning. And this could wrap up a long but a fruitful day for the 2 baseball teams out of New York. The Yankees coming off the mat for 7 runs in the 8th inning to beat the Mariners 7-1 to split the first 2 games of that best of 7 series, with Game 3 coming on Friday night. And here the Mets getting 2 in the first, 1 in the 5th, 3 in the 9th, lead 6-0 in game 1 of their series in St. Louis. The Cardinals to this point are 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position, and Renteria is in that spot now with a runner at second, 2 out. 1 out of 4 on the night. To the shortstop, Abbott. And the New York Mets will have to play on. Throw to the plate, safe. Langford running all the way. Makes it a 6-1 game. No shutout as Zeal couldn't hang on at first. No Bordick. It was Abbott. Low throw, and Zeal could not keep it in the glove.
And Mike Piazza looks hurt. It looks like he may have sprained his right ankle. This is a ball that should have been caught. Surprised, Zeal is throwing home. And it looked like Piazza may have stumbled on the bat. Another look. Nope, the bat was nowhere to be seen, but perhaps in crossing over. It appears to be an error on Zeal. So an unearned run. So it's an error on Kurt Abbott. And I don't agree with that scoring, but that's all right.
Here's Edmonds, ball 1 down and in.
Piazza limping, however, and that's a more pertinent news for Mets fans.
Shaking his head after catching that first pitch from Benitez. Ball 1 to Edmonds, now ball 2, 2-0. Here's another look at Piazza at the end of that play.
Stepping over the bat, I think in crossing over, making the catch, perhaps. That's what sprained that right ankle.
2-0. Edmonds hits it hard into right. Perez coming, can't get it. It's past him all the way to the wall. Renteria will score. Edmonds will at least take third. He's there with 2 out, and it's a 6-2 Mets lead.
It's not McGuire time yet, but if Eric Davis and Will Clark get on, it will be. It's going to be scored a triple, an RBI for Jim Edmonds. And again, an unearned run. And now Dave Wallace of the Mets out to talk to Armando Benitez.
They've ruled it a single E9.
Really?
No RBI.
Come on.
And watching that replay, I agree with you. McGuire is indeed, as you mentioned, getting ready. But St. Louis needs to get Davis on and Clark on to bring McGuire to the plate.
Trying to backhand the ball. That was a tough hop for Perez. Looked to me like it should have been a triple, but nonetheless a single and an error. And if the Cardinals get 2 men on, 2 more men in Davis and Clark, this place will erupt.
Runner at third, 2 out for Eric Davis. Strike 1.
And we saw Mark McGuire getting prepared over on that Cardinals bench. Should he get a chance to pinch hit against Benitez? He's 1 for 8 lifetime against the Mets closer with 6 strikeouts in the 8 at-bats.
To the left side, Ventura guides it across, and now game 1 belongs to the New York Mets. They take the opener of this 2000 National League Championship Series, and we've said it a couple of times already, with Hampton on the mound tonight. Good work out of the bullpen, and Leiter going tomorrow night. A good start to this series for the New York Mets.
I would say this puts the Mets right in the driver's seat. Concern, however, of Mike Bordick. If he can't throw tomorrow, then Kurt Abbott would have to start at shortstop, and that would hurt the Mets defensively.
A final of 6-2. That makes Hampton the winner. He's now 1-1 in this postseason, and in his career 1-2. A loser of Kile. He's now 1-1 in the same career postseason numbers for Kile, 1-2. And a 6-2 final as the Mets led throughout. We'll come back with interviews from Busch Stadium after game 1 of this NLCS. Back in a moment, 6-2 Mets.
At Busch Stadium after the Mets' opening game win in the National League Championship Series with Mike Piazza, who delivered a key first-inning double to score the second of the Mets' runs. Well, let me ask you first about your foot on that play at the plate with Langford in the ninth inning. Are you all right?
Yeah, Todd kind of hooked the throw a little bit. It was just kind of awkward. Yeah, it feels all right. I just kind of walked it off a little bit, but I think just because of a little bit of the chill in the air and you know, not having too much action back there. Fortunately, it was just a little stiff, so it feels a lot better. And
it's good of us to keep you out here, making it even worse in the cold weather. How big was this? I mean, it's obvious if you come in and have a team that has scored 24 runs in its first 3 playoff games. How big was it not merely to win the game, but to keep their offense shut down until it was essentially too late?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was a key tonight. You know, for the win, Mike just did a great job on the mound and was able, as you said, to contain their offense. And you know, we caught the ball behind him pretty well and got him some runs. So, I mean, that's just good fundamental baseball. We were able to execute tonight, and it's a start for us. We know it's far from over, so we just got to keep the you know, the pedal down.
There's something else to it when your hit bounced against the wall. John Stearns was heard to say they've let the man's out of the cage now. Do you feel out of the cage offensively?
Well, I swung the bat a lot better tonight, but again, you know, it's only because of the teammates tonight getting on, Timo getting on in front of me, just giving me the opportunities to drive in a run. So, I mean, that's what it's all about. I said many times before, I just want to win. I mean, that's the most important statistic, and do whatever I can. I was able to chip in tonight, so hopefully it's a start. I felt a little more comfortable with the bat, so as I said, hopefully I'll be able to take it tomorrow.
All right, and we'll see you tomorrow night, Mike. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Joe Buck, back to you upstairs.
All right, Keith, thanks, and our thanks to Mike Piazza for hanging in there and staying down on the field during the break. Well, the decision was made by Bobby Valentine to start Mike Hampton. Controversial decision. In some arenas, he picked Hampton. Hampton gets the win, and he has Al Leiter going tomorrow night. The monster was out of the cage in the first inning, and the Mets took the lead in the first, held on to it, and won it, a final of 6-2. I'm Joe Buck saying so long on behalf of Tim McCarver, Bob Brentley, Keith Olbermann, Steve Lyons. For more information on today's game and for information from around Major League Baseball, log on to foxsports.com. You've been watching Fox Sports, home of the 2000 World Series. Join us tomorrow night, Game 2, Leiter and Kile from St. Louis. Good night, everybody.
The monster is out.
This has been a presentation of Fox Sports, the exclusive home to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game.